Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is spaciousness. And what do we do to create it? How do we keep it? How do we navigate? What are its benefits? Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to start the morning with you, and welcome to everybody else who's joining us. We're talking about spaciousness today. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together and vigorously rub your hands together to feel the tickling, the tingling, the sensation, the pressure, the temperature, and all those sensations. Allow them to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So spaciousness. It's a topic that was coming up a lot in sessions with my clients over the past number of weeks. And it's very interesting that when we look at spaciousness, whether it's metaphorically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, like in physical space, when we create spaciousness, there's often a tendency to want to fill up that space. And what I was hearing from clients is that this notion of spaciousness or the experience of it was a little bit frightening, a little bit intimidating, because it was spacious. It was unfamiliar. It didn't have the definition, the constraints of that they had experienced before the spaciousness. And part of the spaciousness was created by a not knowing, by the uncertainty of possibility, that there are all these opportunities, all these possibilities. And that's what created this wonderful sense of spaciousness, where there was a sense of being able to breathe. And oftentimes when we create spaciousness in our schedules, the inclination is to fill it up with stuff. So fill it up with all kinds of tasks and schedules, and rather than leaving ourselves open to the opportunity for inspiration. And I think that that's a big part of what the essence of spaciousness is room to allow life to unfold in unanticipated ways. I'm wondering if you have experience of that. What is this notion around spaciousness? What does the word conjure for you? I've also had the conversation with folks relating to spaciousness in meditation and coming into this blackness, this deep, dark, pregnant blackness, and it being frightening because again, it's this nothingness, it's this unknown, it's the emptiness. And or so Rosalind says, when our house or minds are filled with too much stuff, it's hard to move, stifles creativity for sure. Yeah. And we tend to fill up that space with stuff, even when we've made space. It's like, oh, okay, so now I have room for more stuff, and I want to go and fill it up with things so that I don't have to be confronted with that emptiness. And it's an interesting phenomena, right? That we create all this busyness to distract us from just being quiet, being present, being observant. That we, when we make an opening in time, that we want to then go fill it with appointments and all the stuff that needs doing, instead of protecting it in some way, or deliberately intending to preserve it. And I'm wondering for you, if you've experienced that feeling of spaciousness, and perhaps the catching of the breath, in that moment of, wow, like there's all this possibility that that wasn't there before. And this is very much on my mind right now, because I have the month of January off from my coaching practice. So there's all this spaciousness and all this unstructured time available to me, and giving myself permission to allow inspiration, to not force myself into particular expectations. It's already at play. Is I've got all this time, what am I going to do with it? Rather than how am I going to be with it? And yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to be aware enough that I would like to allow myself to move through inspiration, and also aware enough that I have a bunch of things that I would love to see get done. And finding the balance there, finding the spaciousness that allows me to move with the callings of my heart. Good morning and good evening to you, Gia. Welcome, welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about spaciousness, and what does that look like? So what does it look like, and how do we create it for ourselves? So as I'm engaging with you in this conversation, I'm also looking at how in my physical space to be creating spaciousness. And that's also been an interesting adventure, to be clearing things out, to be looking at life history in its way, right? When you have been collecting all kinds of things for a really long time, and then allowing them to let them go, letting them go, or finding the right people to give them to, or ways to disperse them, those things, to create greater spaciousness. When I don't know if you've ever had the experience of free fall. I remember as a kid, I would have flying dreams, and then there were falling dreams. And there was just this wonderful sensation and experience of falling. And I also, when I was 30, I decided to go skydiving to celebrate my 30th birthday. And we did have free fall. And it was scary and exhilarating all at the same time. And I think that that's something that people often experience with spaciousness, is that there's an exhilaration and an excitement about it, while at the same time there's the I don't know if you want to call anxiety, fear, anticipation, all these different emotions all together. And yeah, it's interesting as we look at new possibilities and stepping into new possibilities in our lives. It may be that the anticipation of the unknown and the fear, or the anxiety around letting go of the familiar, can really go to work on us. And stepping into our dreams can also produce some of that anxiety, anticipation. It's interesting because I've been going to the gym because I'm going to this course in this month to learn how to build aircrete houses. So aircrete is cement mixed with foamed up dishwashing liquid, and then you pour bricks and build this structure with the bricks. And so I'm going to learn how to do this with domes. I'm just very, very excited. It's something I've been wanting to do for 5 years, since I learned about the company that does this. And so I started going to the gym to be able to get myself in shape, to be able to really participate actively in doing this building thing. And so after starting with the gym, I started experiencing some pain in my hip. And so I was working on clearing the pain in my hip. And then 2 days ago, I was talking to a friend. Welcome, Jenny. Welcome. It's great to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about spaciousness. So I was talking to a friend, and I was making my bed, and I wrenched my back just out of nowhere. Now, I don't think I've ever wrenched my back before, but the hip felt better, but the back, I like am being very careful about how I move. And I wasn't really able to go to the gym for a couple days because I was afraid that I would injure myself worse. I went this morning, but I only walked, but it was something at least. But, it's so interesting. Thank you, Rosalind. It's so interesting because I just now, in speaking with you, made the connection that it might have to do with the new possibilities that are opening, like all of this was in preparation for this course, which is part of a dream come true, frankly. Like I said, I've been wanting to do this for 5 years, and it's an integral part of my vision for the eco park and for the home that I want to build for myself. And so my body is just rebelling. And I think it's because there, I've been doing all kinds of session work on myself, but I think that there's a part of me that might be afraid of the dream come true. And I know that I'm not the only one that experiences that kind of thing. And this is the same idea with the spaciousness for dreams come true, spaciousness to step into your vision of who you desire to be and to become. And maybe it's the old resistance, the fear of change, or fear of failure, like some fear of dreams come true, or not being able to measure up in some way, or, there are any number of these kinds of things that confront us as we are in a space of expansion. And so I invite you to look at yourselves and notice if you have experiences like this too, where, something that you've desired and worked toward, and then these obstacles arise. Because I don't think that it's incidental that the obstacles are arising. I think that those obstacles are opportunities for any of us to rise to the occasion, an opportunity to heal, for instance. So Jenny says vitamin D2 multi-supplements with K2, magnesium, zinc, and calcium, like Bone Up, supports bone and muscle. Well, thank you for that, Jenny. I appreciate it. That's helpful. I'm just finding this to be very, very interesting, and I am sharing it with you so that you can recognize that we all go through these processes, right? We all get to confront our fears and our dreams and our expansiveness and our resistance. And, like on some level, I see this stuff as resistance. That is coming up to be healed. That we all have this stuff that wherever we are in life, there's going to be opportunities for growth that present themselves to us. And that's a bit of what's happening, I think, for me. And I see it as an opportunity. I see it as something that I get to learn more about, something that I get to dive into a bit more deeply, and embrace the expansiveness, to look at what does it look like to be spacious. So Jenny says, it's vital for us older gals postmenopausal. So the Bone Up support. Okay, well, I will check it out, Jenny. I do appreciate that. I have so many supplements that I take. I think that I am maybe I need to revisit some of that, because I take handfuls of supplements and I'm not sure that I'm digesting them all that well these days. So I don't know. So this notion of spaciousness, this notion of creating the opportunities that we want, Well, Jenny, I wish you feeling well. Get a test. Let's stay on topic with our comments. So please, let's make comments that support our conversation, and forward the conversation. So good morning, Robin. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here. And Jenny, sending you lots of compassion and love and hopes for your health. Robin, we're talking about spaciousness this morning, and how we often create space for ourselves and then shut it down as quick as we can because it's intimidating to be in this unknown. At least that's what I associate with spaciousness, is the unknown, and allowing ourselves to move from inspiration rather than determination necessarily. Like there, I think you can have inspired determination, by the way, but rather than a have to, let's move from an inspired to, if possible. And I think that that's where the space of spaciousness is right now for me. Is there's not a whole lot of stuff right now that I have to do. I have lots of things that I would like to have done, but not a whole lot that I have to do. And so it's creating, it's interesting because there's a bit of a dynamic of tension around do the to-dos, do the want to do's, do the should do's, or just be, and see what shows up as priority. So it's a dance, and I'm excited to explore it, and I'm excited to have you explore it with us. Let's explore this idea together of spaciousness and how we can embrace it, how we can create the field that supports the inspiration. Guilt-free. That's an interesting aspect too, is like, what if I'm just exhausted? What if I just want to rest? Is that okay? What if I want to just paddle around and not putter around and not necessarily do anything overtly productive? My thought is that even in those moments, there is brewing inspiration. And so I'm wondering for you, this experience. So Robin says, would spaciousness be a safe zone of comfort? I think maybe it can be. Maybe it can be, like, maybe we can just be in that space of spaciousness and breathe and allow ourselves the freedom of that to just feel into what are we called to next. Like and this is a reminder to myself to say, okay, well, what's calling to me right now? What would my heart enjoy? What would my soul like to do right now? What, it makes me think of retirement and how lots of people don't retire because they have no idea what they'll do, or they fill their retirement up with all kinds of things to keep them busy and occupied. Rosalind says, if a couple moves in together and the space is new for both of them, I think there would be less friction as opposed to having someone move into your space. That's an interesting thing to be talking about in terms of spaciousness too. When we each in our own spaces, we have our rituals, right? We have our routines. And I think that this is the idea around spaciousness too, is that we have rituals and routines and ways of being that if we were put into a different space, would be cultivating different patterns. And when two people are coming together, I tend to agree with you, Rosalind, that it might be easier for both to be moving into a new space, so everybody would be experiencing that newness together and developing patterns that they could share that are fresh. So that in its way is a version of spaciousness, right? Because we're not as bound to the patterns of our past. We're in something new, in something fresh and exciting, and challenging, maybe equal challenges, that instead of one person trying to conform to the patterns of the other. So Rubin says, I guess you could have several spaciousnesses, one of comfort, goals, necessity. I think spaciousness, probably like everything, lives on different dimensions. That we have spaciousness of spirit, we have spaciousness of physical space, we have spaciousness of mind. It's interesting that you talk about goals and necessity. I've said it a bunch, but I'm much more acclimated to intention than goals, because goals, to me anyway, goals translate as time-bound expectations, whereas intentions get to be self-correcting without the failure. Goals are kind of black and white. You either make it or you don't. So Rubin says, oh, okay, I'm with you. Goals work for some people. I just know that when I start trying to enforce stuff on myself, then I rebel and I end up going the other way. So setting an intention for me is a gentler, more aligned experience. So anyway, intention, spaciousness, being able to be in the unknown and kind of let life emerge, let the calling to life emerge. I think that's what we're talking about. And with that, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network, EWN One with the Earth, Enlightened World Living. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to have these conversations and for your engagement. And I just want you to know that I have so much love for you. Until next time.